Oh, by the way, Don, you do as you please, remember, but you are being recorded for posterity here
for legal
on video.
reasons.
We do have to warn you if you are.
Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable podcast. We are here recording episode 146. And today we have a special guest, and we are going to be talking about travel credit cards and some travel finance tips. I'm excited because I need to be a better money manager, so I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot today. Also don't know too much about perks of different credit cards and how to maximize them, so I'm looking forward to this episode. I'm sure there will be a lot of gems for all of you as well, so this will be a lot of fun. We're very excited. And without further ado, my buddy who also needs to learn a little bit more about travel credit cards according to our previous conversations, my buddy Jared. What's going on, Jared?
I was just about to say, Chad, how dare you? Then I was like, oh yeah, I'd say that all the time because that's very true. Wah. There it is, Chad. I did it. I did it. Hello. Welcome to the Untranslatable podcast. It's good to be here. First, please, everyone, spread a little love. Follow us. Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. Oh, no. Sorry. I got it's always popping. You can follow us on Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. You can email us, untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Give us some untranslatables. We could always use them. They're idioms, sayings, proverbs that are usually funny when translated. But, they don't have to be. But we like a good laugh here. They could be serious, too, though. Chad likes that kind of weird stuff. And then, obviously,
Пожалуйста.
spread a little love. Spread a little love with those 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. That's where our money's really made. And by the way, the bank account's been a little cobwebby recently. So please.
And that's why you should get you a travel credit card. I'm just saying.
There we go. And the gentleman who is just talking is our special guest for today, Mr. Ooh, do we drop your last name? I don't know if you drop your last name on your podcast or not.
We dropped the last name.
All right, well then, Mr. Don Strite, he is the official Untranslatable Finance Minister for today's episode.
Oh, wow.
Teaching us all sorts of great stuff. So we're looking forward to it. What's going on, Don?
Just like to say a disclaimer. I am not your tax attorney. I'm not your accountant. I'm not your financial advisor. Nothing I can say will be held to get me in the court of law. That being said, it's great to be here, guys. Have to throw that out there. My lawyer tells me to.
First of all,
fair.
How rude, Chad. Whenever we have a guest, we're supposed to give them a proper introduction. Don Strite, host of the Millennial State of Mind podcast.
That's true. I blew that one.
Yeah, come
It's
on.
okay.
That's very rude. I see Don over there like, hey, come on, please. No, I'm kidding. Don, you recently, we like here at the Untranslatable podcast, Chad recently moved to China. We like to talk about living in different cultures, moving. You have recently, since the last time you've been on this podcast, moved to Denver, Colorado from San Francisco.
Yes, sir.
How has that, what kind of adjustment is that for you? Positive, negative?
I would say big positive. I would say that it's been a place I've been wanting to live and move to for like 10 years. And it finally just happened to come together with work.
Why is it better?
Well, San Francisco was a little bit, I don't know. I did not like the culture there. The people, was just like too fast paced, all about work, all about your startup.
You love that though. You love work.
No.
No?
I do like working. I find my work very entertaining, but people live it and do it every day there. Mm-hmm. And they just talk about things like how much is your startup worth, yada, yada, yada. And it just is too much city. I never saw grass, never had space. It's expensive.
Yeah.
Kind of made like 5 friends and that was it. And got a job, then left.
I think I've made 5 friends
social
since
guy.
Oh yeah. I forgot to mention it. Yeah. I'm a social butterfly and San Francisco wore me out to the point I don't go out there anymore. I haven't been out there in like 6 months since I moved.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, it's just a different place. Denver is much more laid back. The work-life culture is great. It's beautiful out here. The weather's pretty mild. Like you get the snow, but you also get beautiful sunny days. Like today was like I was in just jeans and a long sleeve shirt and we had snow last week. So It's nice. I don't know. I have an apartment for once that is my own. I think that's a big win.
More
Big
than a
level up in
closet?
life. I know, more than a closet. For those of you who don't know, I seriously think the master bathroom that we have attached is probably bigger than my first bedroom in San Francisco.
What do you see the future of San Francisco in 10 to 20 years? This doesn't seem sustainable. You had a good job. If you were living in Michigan, you could, or in like the Metro Detroit area, you could have a very nice apartment, probably even bigger for the price you're paying now. Probably even you could. Not probably. You could definitely rent a nice house.
What I paid in San Francisco, I could rent a nice house for. I mean, compared to Detroit,
Not in Denver. Oh,
Not
I
in
see what you're
Denver.
saying.
Compared to Detroit, I could. Denver, it's a little bit more expensive. Tech's coming here.
So anyway, though, what do you see as San Francisco's future with this sort of ridiculous standard of living? Like, it doesn't seem sustainable to me.
I don't think it is. I think there's going to be a market reset sometime
Jeff
in the near
Bezos
future.
has a 3-bedroom apartment in San Francisco.
Wow, that's so modest.
$6
Probably
million
still
a month
Yeah,
is his mortgage, and
I mean,
he
but
cries every day because it's too
honestly
small.
though, there's houses for rent. They're like 5 bedrooms that go for like $50,000 a month,
Right.
I
which is
believe
just
it.
crazy. But I see there's going to be a dip. I mean, I think it's the economy's been growing in a very interesting way, with especially with all the startup money as well that hasn't really came to fruition yet. So we're going to have the first like 20 true years of VC startups and the slow trickle down and really seeing what the impact will be in. I think it's going to be a little recession. I mean, I think San Francisco's going to dip. Jobs might move away because it's so expensive. Find that there's better
Right.
talent outside of the Bay. And San Francisco might dip a little bit. But then again, it's like every other metropolitan city that's growing. Like New York is continuing to grow. And we probably said this, the U.S. has probably been saying this for years, right? So it might just keep maintaining, just not as fast of a rate.
But New York has a more industry happening in it, I would say.
Yeah.
Like more variety, excuse me.
Yep. San Francisco's just tech heaven.
Chad, I just thought about something, and I hate to put you on the spot. Do you happen to have any questions from your language table thing that you do?
Oh, I do.
That would be
I
great
do.
to ask.
I do.
So I'll
yes.
explain as you're pulling them up. I'll explain it to Don. So
Yep.
Don, Chad is he teaches English methodology. Is that right? English teaching methodology.
Very good, yeah.
And he does, like, essentially outside of his normal class teaching, he does I don't know exactly what he calls it. He can tell you, but I call it a language table, where it's essentially a more informal situation where he can have conversations and more informal activities with his classmates. And he has a session where through WeChat, which is I'm sure you know what WeChat is, China's, or if you don't, listen to a previous episode of the Untranslatable podcast.
I have to do that.
To learn about WeChat. We talk all about it. But through it, he has his students submit questions every week. Episode 141. I chat, we chat, we all chat for WeChat about WeChat.
That's a great title, buddy.
And he has his students submit questions about sort of American culture or how he feels about life in China. And so sometimes he asks them to me because they're either hilarious or very insightful.
Ooh, I can't wait for this.
Right. I mean, basically, this is kind of like an in-person version of a Reddit Ask Me Anything. Well, so this question Jared and I have talked about, but I would be curious to get Don's take on this one.
Okay.
So a different student asked me this one because every week, so these are not only my students, but any student at the university can attend these. They're free for them. They can come and practice English, also learn a little bit about American culture. So, in your opinion, Don, from what you know, what is the difference between the United States and China?
What is the difference? Like
What are the differences?
I mean, I think that's pretty, vast, but it depends on the context. This is a student asking this, correct?
Correct.
Yeah,
Are
but
they
they're like college students, by the way.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to gauge is there's the very obvious ones which he or she studying in school, but he's asking more like the cultural differences in the day-to-day activities, or is it more just like
Jeez, this is why Don's not a teacher.
No, that's a good question to ask. That's a
I mean, it
completely
makes
valid
sense.
question.
It makes sense.
Well,
But
I usually do talk about the cultural differences for sure. I've talked about the differences in education systems. They have a big test here in China called the Gaokao, where basically that is the deciding factor of where you are going to go to college. And basically, that test you take when you're 18 years old really heavily influences the rest of your life, unless you're one of those really crazy, like Jack Ma types, the guy who owns like AliExpress or Alibaba, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So what, in your eyes, Don, are some of the cultural differences between the United States and China?
I mean, I think number one, I mean, culturally, that's the biggest difference. I think we're a very, I think the mindset in kind of the education system of how people are raised here is just the main difference. We are a little bit more like, I guess, free and willing to kind of like go our different routes where from like my interpretation, this is just my limited knowledge. I've never been there. It's a little bit more structured and regimented, which is kind of against like the not necessarily aligned with like the American way sort of thing. And so that has to have the trickle down effect of all the differences I can't even imagine, from clearly like you have the food and diet and the people and the education, but the mix of different cultures there in the States. I'm not sure the diversity in China outside of, like, I don't know the breakdown, but once you dig into those different rabbit holes, it's vast. I would say the largest things would probably be that you could notice on a daily basis is, I mean, outside the obvious is the language, but sports and how you spend your leisure time is probably decently different.
Oh, it's very different. Oh,
and I think that'd be the one thing I want to highlight, because I think that's what your students probably find most interesting, is just how we decide to spend our free time. What's your work-life balance? What do you spend your free time on? And I'd be intrigued to see what that's like. And you can probably speak to that, where here it's definitely like 9 to 5 work. You go home, spend time with family, maybe watch TV, go out to eat, and kind of like repeat. Sports, your varies entertainment, but I have no clue what family life or after work life looks like.
Let me talk about that for a minute. I mean, Jared and I could do an entire episode on this, no problem.
Because I being someone who hasn't tuned in recently, I apologize, but I'll be #transparent.
We don't expect you. At least I don't expect you to. I can't speak for Chad. I actually prefer
everybody to listen to this podcast,
Yeah.
Jared. But
I tell everyone to listen to it.
So to talk about what Don was mentioning. So in terms of work-life balance, I think for most people in China, it's not a balance. It's work is way up here and life is way down here. So I know a lot of people in China who will spend 11 hours a day at work. And they don't get paid overtime. It depends on the position. I have a friend in Beijing, and he works like crazy all the time. And a lot of this is for a couple of reasons. There's kind of this idea here in China called guanxi, and guanxi is like relationship or face in China, and it basically means like if you need to do something good for someone else, otherwise they won't do something good back for you. And this is how like relationships are really maintained and built here in China. You know, if I do something nice for you, you remember that, and then you do something nice for me later. Kind of like the old adage, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine.
You remember that.
Right, exactly. In terms of leisure time, at least, I will tell you that my students, it seems like for the most part, they really do not have too much of a social life. And the crazy thing is, and this
I can
is
relate.
what really, what really blew my mind, though, here, Don, is that if you walk around any college campus at night, you will see droves of students with a textbook open talking to themselves. And what they're doing is they're memorizing the textbook. Because here in China, the view on education is that you need to memorize. And I think the reason why that is because they view the textbook as kind of the golden standard, where you need to memorize this knowledge before you can even say your own opinion on it, right? But in the States, we're the opposite. We read this and tell me what you think about it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a very big cultural and educational difference. And for me as a teacher, it's been really fascinating because my students, unless I call on them, I have to physically be like, you tell me your answer. They won't talk. Because here in China, another big virtue here culturally is to be humble.
Yeah.
And if you're always speaking up in class, you're not being very humble because you're bragging in a sense by showing what you know. But for me as a teacher from the United States, that's how I gauge my students understand the material. And I also don't teach classes like a typical Chinese professor would, where I'm not lecturing for 2 hours straight. They're walking around, they're doing activities, we're playing games. It's not your typical me stand in front of the class and talk for 2 hours. So, but there's a lot of cultural differences. I mean, the societal structure here is different. What is really adorable is in China, the family structure is different. So when you have kids, usually your parents will take care of the children. So you will, if I had $1 for every time I've seen grandma or grandpa with their grandchild walking around or pushing them in a stroller or whatever, I would probably be a millionaire. And I've only been here for 2 months because that's the cultural norm and that's what's common here in China. So yeah, anyways, let's get to some more questions though. I'll shut up and let's get to a couple more. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, this was a good one. I'm curious to hear what both of you would say. What would you do when you are in a bad mood?
Ooh. For me, it's usually like work out, go play some sports. That's what I like doing. Rock climb. That's like my good pick me up. If I was 100% healthy, it'd be go play pickup basketball. But we all know what happened last time I did that. Little injury.
Don can only bear so many more surgeries.
Yeah, I fully dislocated my right ankle. So your foot, it goes up and down. Mine was at a 90-degree angle in.
And this asshole sent me a picture of it. And I just casually opened up my phone and I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, I was also like pretty drugged up by then. Like they gave me morphine on the court, in the ambulance, at the hospital.
Some guy just pulled his, like, I got this in my bag.
Passerby, there is a drug problem in San Francisco. They had to ask me like
Where did that
questions before I
needle
got
come
morphine.
from?
Yeah. They were actually very strict, which is good. They're very strict on giving that out. Like I actually be like, hey.
Oh, right. Yeah,
I'm
I
in
had
pain.
to imagine that.
Help me.
Right. What about you, Jared?
I would probably say, pray to the Lord Jesus Christ.
No, I was saying do some yoga. That's your new thing.
Oh, yeah. I haven't been in over a week. No, I would probably say I like to be alone, retreat, into my own personal bubble. Eating, that's always a go-to for me. But mostly retreat.
Cooking as well?
Yeah, but I think if I'm if I'm angry, I don't feel like you have to be in a good place to cook good food. Your mood is reflected in your food. Martha
there we go.
Stewart.
All right, I'll give you guys another one. This one was kind of cool. Who is your favorite character in the series Friends, and who is your personal idol?
Don has never seen an episode of Friends in his life.
You've never seen Friends, Don? Wow. Okay.
But I'm going to say,
how do you know that?
I know everything about you, but I'm going to say he's a Monica and a Rachel. Okay. No, I'm only saying it would be better if Monica is not funny to him because he doesn't know the show. Monica used to be chubby as a kid.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think I'm not going to answer for Don. I don't know, but
Judge me. I mean,
all right. Well, let me
do
me first because I think I would probably be like a Chandler. I would like to be a Chandler.
Well, okay, but
could I be any more of a Chandler?
I'm not. I could see it, but I mean, who's your favorite character? Not who would you be, but who's your favorite character?
I like Joey and Chandler. I like Joey and Chandler.
I said Joey for sure. I definitely said Joey.
I can imagine that. That makes sense.
Yeah. And then of course,
I like Phoebe too, though. I really like Phoebe.
I also mentioned Phoebe. She's hilarious. And the students asked me to say Joey's
Regina
catchphrase.
Phalange.
So Don, for maybe you even know this, Don, but Joey's catchphrase is like, "How you doing?" That's like his. No? Okay. All right. But yeah, that's always what he says. Like, it'll be like some attractive girl, and he'll like look at her and be like, "How you doing?"
I always love getting new drops on the live on the podcast,
right?
Because that's definitely.
But then the second question to that is, who is your idol?
The Lord Jesus Christ. Who's my idol? I don't have an idol. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that's kind of not stupid. But
What about when you were a kid, Jared? Is there somebody you really looked up to when you were a kid?
You know, I kind of do really look up to like Lewis Hamilton these days. I've been into Formula One for like 6 months, but
Okay.
For everybody
he
that's
just
a race
won
car
his
driver.
his sixth championship.
Oh, nice.
So,
What about you, Don?
I mean, this might sound like kind of corny cliche, but I always looked up to my dad.
yeah,
I don't know.
said
He's
the
just
same.
he's just always been like that person,
Yeah.
and still to this day, like
I said the same, so I feel you, man. I feel you 100%.
Jared is cold blooded, has no soul.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm gonna stick with Lewis Hamilton.
There we go. Well, guys, should we spread a little love real quick?
Spread a little love. Yeah. Can you give us You can give us however many you want, Chad. Listen,
I'll give you two quick shout outs.
Okay.
So, my first shout out goes out to the Jeopardy finalist Abhi Gupta, who took pen to paper, and instead of writing a winning question, Gupta, who is 18, wrote out a $10,000 donation check to Oregon Health and Science University Knight's Cancer Institute, and he said, and I quote, "This is in honor of Jeopardy host Alex Trebek, a man who's been a role model for me my whole life," referring to Trebek's battle with pancreatic cancer. So I think it's really amazing. He donated $10,000 to this cancer fund in honor Brilliant.
Uh,
of Alex Trebek, which I think is really great. And at least last I heard, Alex Trebek was doing really well, and I don't want to jinx him, but I thought he was winning the battle against pancreatic cancer. So I think that's great. We've talked about Alex Trebek a few times on the shout out segment because he's awesome, just a great guy, awesome dude, is really positive, and yeah.
I embarrassed myself at work yesterday. There's like a television in the lobby, and there was Jeopardy playing when we were coming back from lunch the other day, and I got I didn't know any of the answers. I guessed on a few of them. I was completely wrong. To the point where I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go, and I went through the put your badge up doors, right, and waited on the other side of the doors.
Hey, losing too many questions in Jeopardy has that effect on people today.
No, this game is stupid. Everyone else is stupid.
I feel like Alex Trebek has to know so much random stuff from being a Jeopardy game show host.
Or he's like Ron Burgundy. He's retained nothing.
Could be. That's true. That's true. My last shout out goes out to the country of Australia because they have reached 50% renewables on their main grid for the first time in history. So I think this is awesome. The milestone was reached at 11:50 Australian time. When the combined output of rooftop solar, large-scale wind, and large-scale solar reached 50.2% of the near 25, I think that's gigawatts, GW, 25 gigawatts being produced on the main grid, which includes Queensland, and NSW. Not sure what NSW is in Australia. Sorry, people. Didn't do my homework
New South
here.
Wales.
Thank you, New South Wales. This is why Jared makes the big bucks. Victoria, Tasmania, and South Australia. So I think that's awesome that Australia is maximizing their renewable energy, and we're sending them lots of love.
Yeah. Shout out. But now, it's time.
It is that
You know,
time.
I feel like on the side I should do some of those like movie voices. I think I'd be pretty good at them.
You would be.
But now it's time for the Untranslatables, brought to you by this owl. Okay. Hey, can I go first?
Of course.
I have a Chinese Untranslatable. Stepping on
Ooh.
Chad's turf, but you can't have them all. What? Oh. Okay. Now I know what these little accents mean.
Uh-huh.
So if one goes like this, which is meaning one of my
It's a
arm,
rising tone.
it's it's shooting down at the A. So it's starting up and it's a horizontal shooting down at
tone.
Falling
Falling
tone.
tone.
And what is how does that go?
Falling tone is like the Chinese word for four. Si. Si. Si.
Hui shi ten zu. No.
Okay. What does that mean?
I am so sorry. I'm so glad that people in China legally cannot get this podcast. Because I cannot apologize enough for that. Hui shi ten zu. I think I messed all of that up. I definitely did. Drawing a snake with feet.
Drawing us. I know exactly what this is, but
Well,
Don
let Don guess then. Drawing a snake with feet. Hey Don, you're drawing a snake with feet.
Well, it could be like cutting a rug, like dancing, or you could be walking into like a bad situation, or you're walking into something not great.
Can I help
Neither?
Don out with this one?
Sure, please.
So Don, say you're doodling on your notepad at work because you just finished early and you got some time to kill, right? So you're drawing your snake, and would you usually draw feet on a snake?
No.
No. So would
Hold
you
on. Can I give a clue first?
Sure.
I don't
Go
like
ahead.
your clue. I don't like your clue.
Go ahead.
Here's my clue. So today, so a couple days ago, I decided to go on an Amazon shopping spree. When I went on this Amazon shopping spree, I'm a very cheap person, but I wanted to buy some very specific new clothes. I wanted new boots. It's winter. It just snowed today here in Michigan. I went out and I looked out the window and I was like, whoa. My grass is usually not this white. It snowed and it was still snowing. So a couple of days ago, though, I was like, I want to get some new boots. I also want a sweater. I have a blue sweater, but I would like a gray sweater. So I got a gray sweater. I looked on Amazon. I looked at multiple different sweaters. A lot of great sweaters on Amazon, It's interesting. Sometimes you get lost on Amazon. And all right, if Chad was a professional, he would know to interrupt me and say, hey, Jared, you're really drawing a snake with feet right now.
That was a very, very, very long example, by the way.
What would you call that long example? Drawing a snake with feet is telling a long-winded story,
Oh, fuck you.
which is what I just did for the past minute and a half, is tell a very long-winded story.
yeah,
Is it
you kept going.
Is it a long-winded story? I thought it was unnecessary. Well, I guess that is a long-winded story. Unnecessary details.
Well, I think I also did that pretty well, too, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
I was not at all going that way with it either, so.
All right, I'm going to give you guys a Chinese one as well. And this is fang ge zi, which means release the pigeon. To release the pigeon.
I mean,
To fart?
that was my first guess.
That's a good guess. It is not a fart.
Spread the word.
Nope.
That's a good guess.
That is a good guess. That is a very good guess.
But I guess
especially
I
because
don't
of
know. I
carrier
don't know how
pigeons.
pigeon is used like in I guess
Chinese
Yeah,
culture,
I was like, you guys
Yeah.
hungry? Yeah, it's like
Right.
sharing a meal.
yeah.
Well,
Time for lunch.
I'll give you guys both a clue.
Ooh, we're going to get
Slipping on gator piss.
We're going to get Chad arrested.
Probably. I figured it would happen eventually in the course of this podcast. Anyways, so it's the price you pay for good untranslatables, Jared. What can I say? Anyways,
man.
so to release the pigeon, I'll try to give you guys an example. So, say I meet a pretty Chinese girl here, and I decide I want to take her out to dinner, right? And I'm sitting at home, I'm looking at the clock, we need to meet in 20 minutes. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to go, I'm too busy. And then she texts her friends, and she goes, I cannot believe it. He released the pigeon.
Oh, I mean, Don, do you know what it is? Don listens to nothing. It means to stand someone up.
It does. Yes, it does.
Yeah,
Don,
I don't listen to anything.
This is a problem we've had with Don. I'd say since I met him 10 years ago, is that Don does not listen very well. Listen
Nope.
to his new podcast, Millennial State of Mind.
I'm not a very good listener. My ADHD is pretty bad.
My next untranslatable is Armenian, and it's Gluks mi ardudiki, and it means stop ironing my head. Hey Don, Gluks mi adukir. Stop ironing my head.
Stop ironing my head. All right. I'm listening. I'm engaging. So you know I'm with it.
I mean, we
Would
can't do this podcast without you, but we do need you to talk about credit cards.
Would it be
later.
like stop roasting me?
Or
Or what was it one more time?
No, but you're close. Stop
Stop
ironing my
nagging me?
head. I'm going to give you that, but I'm going to give you a half-hearted.
Or a no-hearted ham horn.
There
Oh,
we go.
There we go.
Quiet ham horn. For a full ham horn, I would have asked for stop annoying me.
Okay, that makes sense. My last one for today is Dutch. In spirit of our previous episode, I've been inspired to drop some more Dutch untranslatable.
By the way, I don't. Okay, go ahead. Very nice.
No.
We do have I feel like I avoid Dutch ones now because we used to do so many back in the day. Granted, like you, but she did do ones I've never heard, so that's why I didn't want to say it. And she was a great guest, so I didn't want to.
Right. She really was.
But I'm inspired to find more Dutch ones too. I'm not gonna lie. I'm
I've
now
got
more
some-
curious.
I've got some good ones. So here's mine for today. Met zijn neus in de boter vallen. And that means to fall with your nose in butter.
To fall with your nose in butter. I wish you'd give me a chance every now and again, Chad.
Oh,
I try to even interrupt you. I'm like, oh wait, and you're like, you
I
just
heard-
barrel through me. You're like, I'm
Right.
going to say this. Okay, to fall with your nose in butter.
Mm-hmm.
Don, what do you think to fall with your nose in butter could mean?
I'm thinking I have to digest these thoughts, man.
Okay.
I'm not.
Sorry.
I'm not.
Well, I have a guess, but I want to give. I have a guess, but I want to give you.
No,
a
no,
chance.
no. I appreciate it. I mean, for the listeners, in context, I'm a logical thinker, so I kind of go through these steps of
Oh, is that what we
analyzing
call
it and
that?
breaking it down. No, but like,
Yeah, you can't do that with untranslatable.
No,
You're
you can't.
too
And I think-
illogical.
and I think that was what gave me trouble. Is like I try to make a logical sense of it, which most of my responses try to make something make sense of it, but I'm not very good at taking the more abstract things from, especially other languages and cultures I don't understand, and piecing it together.
Sure.
Because it's just not a muscle I use because I only speak English.
And
Barely.
I've already forgotten what the untranslated. Can you give me the literal again?
To fall
With your nose into the
nose
butter.
in butter.
Right. Okay. To fall with your nose in butter.
I have no clue.
Don, if you were to fall with your nose into butter, how would you feel? If you were
I'd
at
feel
work,
lucky.
if you were at work and everyone and you were wearing your new nice shirt and you fell onto a stick of butter and there was a big semen-looking stain on your pants because you fell onto butter, how would you feel?
Embarrassed?
Jared, you're leading him
Self-conscious?
down the wrong direction.
Yeah, but I even if I am, I want him to try to think a little bit, like at least think about it. What do you mean you don't know? This is the Untranslatable podcast, Don. We require some critical thinking.
Yeah, then give me a goddamn second. Y'all are up in here like, let me, can my brain process?
I don't know, Jared, can it? Are you going to allow his brain to process?
All
To look like
right,
a fool.
hold on. Let's in the spirit of no, please allow your. You know what? And
fall
I
with your
apologize.
nose
And I'm
in
not even
butter.
kidding now. I apologize.
Because I think you might confuse me more.
And while
don't know,
Don's
make-
thinking, Jared, I do have to say we've been flexing our untranslatable muscles for a while now since we are on episode 146.
And I've been on, 4 episodes?
I think
3?
3 or 4, yeah.
To fall off your nose in butter. I don't know. It's not to look like a fool.
No. You were on the right track with the first thing you said, Don, in a way. You said you were lucky. You're on the right track there.
You're lucky. Thank you for letting me think, Jared. Keep distracting yourself. I mean, you're lucky it wasn't worse?
Not quite. So if you're lucky, we have a phrase in English, to be at the...
Right place at the right time?
There we go. Exactly. That's what that means, to fall with your nose in butter, to be at the right place at the right time.
I don't at all get how Jared's one related to that, his example.
I wasn't giving you the answer. I was trying to get you to think critically.
Oh.
It's all about critical thinking, you know?
I'm terrible at these. These are like my worst nightmare of coming down. I'm just not. I'm not geared towards it. I need to practice more.
They're difficult.
The idea of practicing is hilarious.
I want to practice. I don't
just
like
in your spare time.
Yeah, it's like you guys have done it like 140 some times.
That's true.
Just saying.
Yeah. Well, really,
and we're professionals at it, everyone. Don't forget it. I want everyone to listen to this and realize the professionalism and the expertise that Chad and I hold here.
That's true. That's true.
I could just ask you guys to do like math off the top of your head.
Oh God, please!
I'm pretty good at that too.
Exactly.
Give me a math problem. One that you can do too, though. Don't just give me like 6 million times 48.382.
Let's. I guess that is a good one. Let's start with some basics. 5 times 5.
25.
Oh man, he can know math.
He's quick.
3 plus 7.
10.
Oh wow, you guys are on it. Let's go 100 divided by 4.
Give me some. By 4, 25.
Oh, you want some subtraction?
Give me some subtraction, Don.
100 minus 49.5.
49.
50.5.
Oh shoot. Yep.
Ooh.
Yep. This is why I'm a language teacher, not a math teacher.
10 times 5.
50. All right. I thought it was going to be harder than this. Let's move on.
All right. Well, let's move on to Don's area of expertise, which is finance and travel credit cards, because I have been dying to know some of these tidbits, facts, and tips from you, Don. So let's get into it.
I've known Don for a while, and ever since I've known him, Don, I've known you, I've been amazed by your, the way you maneuver your credit cards, and it seems like you really are playing the long game, which you should be. You're dealing with your credit here, but you have all these twists and turns and like ways that you use different cards, and I'm curious, does that also translate over to when you're traveling? Is it like, oh, now that I'm traveling, or that I'm booking something for travel? Maybe.
Yes.
I know exactly what card I'm using.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the key reasons. So, context: I'm a CPA, work in the finance industry, so I kind of learned the best time value of money, where you can leverage. So take
this as official financial advice, is what you're telling us?
Exactly. Asterisk, do not believe anything he says. But one thing I've worked on is kind of leveraging what cash or kind of securities that you can have, so investments, in way that out against kind of like where can you use your credit, where can you get kind of like free money in different ways, and you have to be extremely diligent not to abuse it. And so one of those ways is through travel cards, because that's like what has been the new craze, right? You have every company trying to market that they're the best travel company card, because that's what a lot of people do. You have different, I guess it does also impact like what you do for work. Because if you travel a lot, you're indirectly going to get a lot of points, and that kind of differs the card. But if you're just the average person who takes a few vacations a year, you can really make a big difference and really get some free money if you pick the right credit cards at the right time, and use kind of like that time value of money properly. So an example is for our Europe trip. I forgot about that one, actually. I wasn't even planning to talk about it. We were going to Europe. I had to book all this stuff last minute. I found that there's like a Citibank card that had no interest for like a year. And then if you spent X amount, no, this was, see, I get them confused sometimes. This was one that you had interest, but it was a lower rate. But if you spent like, now $3,000 in about a month or 3 months, you could get like $1,000 gift card. So you can pretty much like make it pay for yourself,
good.
And no transaction fees foreign. So I pulled that card out and it was a Citibank card. Like Platinum Travel is trying to rival the Chase Sapphire card, or the Sapphire Reserve card is what I have. And so now you're getting credit card companies to play games against each other. So what you're trying to get is you're trying to get the best reward for the limited amount of funds that you can put out, right?
Okay.
And so that's where you can find different credit cards, and also treating it as some cards have like interest-free periods. So you could carry you could carry a balance for like a year without having to pay it off. So
Can you negotiate with a credit card company over rates?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. So what you'll find is kind of like the advice on a few things to look for if you're looking to travel is figure out where you're going, figure out what airlines you're going to fly, who you're going to use, and then go see if there's any promotions for something tied to that credit card, right? Because like, for example, and I'll start rattling these ones off. Southwest, and if you're a California resident at the time, 2 years ago, they offered it. If you're a California resident, you open up a Southwest card, you get a free companion pass for that year if you make one transaction. So, and a companion pass is I fly for free with your significant other or whoever you pair as your companion. So we did that for 1 year. Guess what? They made that policy again this year. So I got a credit card while I was still in California, and so my fiance has flown free with me all year long.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you get additional bonus points for starting. So the equivalent of that, I think we're about to save this year about $5,000 on flights back and forth, just because we got the companion pass. And that doesn't count like the 50,000 points that I got as well. That is the equivalent of like, I don't know, maybe $200-300. So that's an example of like, we knew we were going to fly Southwest. We knew our locations. Let's go in, let's grab the card and go from there. And it's a simple transaction with limited like cash you need to put up front, right?
How much cash do you need to put up front?
Nothing. Like you don't even need to because you just need to make one transaction.
Oh,
so
that's
when I'm
awesome.
when I'm talking like cash up front, I mean actually having to make timely payments on your credit card, and that's a big asterisk, right? A lot of these promotions offer interest-free periods, and so if you're one like myself that values like the stock market investments, I will take that interest-free period because my credit's good, I pay things off, and I can leverage that time value of money where I can have a interest-free loan that is earning no interest for me, or I can take that cash and invest it and earn like that 10%. So the example at a larger scale is I make $1,000 purchase, I get 10% of the stock market, get $100 back. So my cost for maybe investing in taking this, I don't know, booking a flight on a card that has zero interest, I take that $1,000, invest in the stock market. A year later, when I have to pay that bill, it's still $1,000, and then I've gained 100 in the market. So those are like little things to look at. Okay. Interest-free periods, then the extended perks. So 0 transaction fees. I think, Jared, you've heard me talk about one card a lot.
By transaction fees, you mean like at like different ATMs, or if you're like international fees and stuff like that?
Yeah, so like both the cards I used in Europe, no fees. You just pay the local
for
translation
ATMs
rate.
Or
anything.
Like the international kind of, sometimes banks will do like a couple $.
Which cards were those?
So I have the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and you can also pull out cash on this credit card too, which is a huge thing in case you lose the debit card. And then you can, with Chase, you can actually file something back. So like this can actually double as cash if you lose the debit card, which might happen to my parents. They didn't have cash, debit card was gone. They had to pull out cash, and they pay no cash advance fees.
We've talked about that when when what was that airline? Wasn't that when they were
Wow.
Wow Airlines.
So,
wasn't that when that happened?
Yeah, it was. And so that's one of the perks of the card. It also sounds pretty nice. I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's a metal card.
It's metal, yeah. Yeah.
But in addition to like those no transaction fees, able to pull out emergency cash, they also have great support. The points are actually worth something. So when I signed up for the card, I got 100,000 points, the equivalent of like $1,600. Oh wow! I used that to pay for a flight for Bali. And right now, it's the card I use on a daily basis. You get 3x on travel, 3x on food, 1x
3
on
times.
Yeah, 3 times. And that is generated where I have done a lot of my flights this year for free. It's probably been, I don't know, $2-3 grand I've earned this year. in points.
Now,
Granted,
who qualifies for this type of card though?
so you have to have decent credits. That's the thing, is that you also have to look at your personal portfolio. And so like I have student loans, so that puts the amount of credit I can actually take out in addition to a limit. So you have to have a decent credit score to qualify for a lot of these, but some also can help build up your credit because it looks good to carry a balance and pay it off. Yes, Jared?
I can actually, if you want, at some point. I'm enjoying listening to this, but I have a list of the top 10 best travel cards, and they have pros and cons listed. And I wanted to get your opinion on some of these pros and cons.
I would
Good
love
idea.
to do that. And
Okay.
you could ask me the card, and then I could try also tell you the pros or cons, or
Dude,
tell me the pros or cons,
yes, of
and I could give you the
course.
card. Because I think that's far more interesting than me rattling on. But overall, to close out that one statement, it's pick a card that works for like your life, your daily situation, what you spend most on, because that can get you the points to travel well. But then also have a card for traveling that you can have emergency situations. You might be able to have no interest carry for a period of time, because that's really important in case stuff comes up. If it's travel or not, you want to have that safety net. So having that and being able to like take care of the perks and find what can maximize your points, and also rotating. Like you can have 8 different cards moving. Granted, you have to be very diligent not to rack up a balance, but that's okay if you're paying them all off. You can get thousands of dollars in points.
That's easy with that card there, Chief. That's actually part of when I travel internationally or not. I really only mostly carry one credit card with me and one debit card, which seems very foolish. Now, especially now that I listen to you talk.
Yeah.
I only have 2 of them, so I'm not that much better.
Yeah, I guess that's a good thing. I have probably like 5.
Okay.
That you
Like,
take
I
with
have,
you when you travel?
When I travel, I usually, I'll have 5 different
How many
ones.
specific ones do you use on a trip, though? Like, what are your specific for
One.
Okay.
Like this
Chase card.
This Chase card I use everywhere. I only
All right,
use.
we're
I
not
use
sponsored by Chase. I don't
Yeah.
like banks.
Not yet.
Well, I use my like Delta card if I'm flying Delta.
They don't
That's
like
a big
banks.
flight back and forth. Southwest, I use that as my most frequent flyer.
I have another question for you before we get into these cards.
Yes.
I'm glad you brought up Southwest and Delta. Do you recommend finding an airline and sticking with it, or just basing it off of the deals that you can get via the credit card?
Ooh, that's a good question. So, I would say it also depends on how you travel, because some people like consistency, right? And that's a huge thing because traveling's not a lot of fun. I would say I found cards that match my kind of the lifestyle. So Southwest is one a lot of people aren't fond. A lot of people are. It's because no cancellation fees, no rebooking fees, and they fly to all the areas I go to. And so
And
that's
you're
why
not really building up to any status other than being able to maybe get onto the plane before
Yeah.
other people. But there's no if you use Delta all the time and you start in coach, theoretically you can get up to where you're always on the list if you just
Yeah.
kind of consistently travel, where you're always kind of at least on standby for
Yeah.
first class.
And so that's where like I have Delta because that was a flight I used to fly a lot, and I get like the credit card I have gives me 1 free companion pass a year on it. So I pay $80 for the card, and I get, when I was in San Francisco, the equivalent of like $700-800.
So whenever you're booking a flight, you might start looking at Delta just because you have a card that specifically
Yeah.
benefits you through Delta.
Yeah, and then Southwest. So those are the ones I
and
look at.
Southwest, right.
So I focus on the cards, and because those are the flights that I have everywhere. When we were living together, Jared, it was Spirit. Spirit was perfect for what we needed. They had the flight times to Colorado. They had everything I needed to get around, and I never carried much, so it made sense.
I would say that's a very good point, though. Like, part of getting the credit card might not just be exactly who has the best deals per se, but know your hubs. Like, if this is
Yeah,
traveling,
definitely.
like, for example, I used to always travel I always travel to Louisiana because most of my family's from there, and I for a while occasionally would get, like, as a child, not a child, but like as a teenager kind of child, would occasionally get upgrades because I would, like, multiple times a year fly to and from Louisiana on the same airline because it was Delta, or it used to be Northwest back in the day before Delta bought them, specifically because hubs were in Memphis and Atlanta, which were both very popular places that went to Baton Rouge or New Orleans. And so even like as someone that didn't fly often, and as a kid I had no credit cards, I still got some status, which if I had my own credit cards, or my parents probably benefited from that greatly.
And I think that's the biggest thing is find your hubs, find who flies there. ride with that, because then you can get the benefits down the road. And I mean, status, great, but if it's not if I try to do Delta status here, I'm gonna be losing so much money. So find what works and go from there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Can I ask one question about cards before we get into giving Don the rapid fire 10 top travel cards?
You betcha.
How long does it usually take in terms of like applying for one of these cards and then actually getting the card in hand?
It does depend. So there is a few different variables. I'll try to lay them out quickly. One is, majority of the time, if you've been in your location you lived in consistently, if you already established credit there, your credit bureau is able to search you immediately without follow-up on where you lived or additional, like, send mail to your location to make sure that's where you are. Okay. But you can get the card in like 2-3 days.
And keep in mind, Chad, credit card companies want you to use those credit cards as badly as possible. Yep. And it's just a little piece of plastic, so they'll get it to you like as fast as possible.
I mean more so getting approved for the credit card.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah, getting approved. You'll know if you're
computers.
approved instantaneously. It's a check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Hey, Don, you ready for the rapid fire? Yeah. Oh, man.
I'm ready.
I really entertain myself over here. So for this one, I'll start with some of the pros and cons. Unlike cards tied to a specific airline or hotel brand, you can use the blah 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 card rewards in many places. You earn 2 points per $1 spent on dining, and traveling 1 point per dollar on everything else. Points are worth 25% more when you use them to book travel through the blah 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 rewards website, or you can transfer them at a 1-to-1 rate to several other loyalty programs. Plus, the card comes with a sign-up bonus. Earn 60,000 bonus points after you spend 4,000 on purchases in the first 3 months from account opening. There's a $750 That's $750 towards travel when you redeem through the blah 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 rewards site. Finally, the card is metal, not plastic, which gives it a certain wow factor.
Oh, because I don't know who's upgraded to those cards, so it sounds very similar to the Chase Sapphire Preferred, because the points are a little different, but the verbiage throws me off just a tad.
Don, stop while you're ahead. That is a Chase Sapphire Preferred card.
Oh my God.
I love this game. Okay. Do you prefer that way, or now I don't know, do you do your research, so should I stick with pros and cons?
I mean, I think that's pretty entertaining.
All right. Well, here's another card.
Because I don't really pay attention. I just know the verbiage of how these companies talk and like what sounds like a Chase versus like a other one.
Right.
I don't know. Like, it's more or less how you
and this,
deliver.
by the way, comes from NerdWallet, a very popular financial advisory and like a website.
Don.
Don's last name is actually NerdWallet. Don NerdWallet. Nice to meet you. So I'll start by saying this card has 0% down or 0% annual fee for $0 annual fee for the first year. After the first year, though, it's $95. You already seem like you know what it is.
Yeah, keep going.
I like this confidence.
You earn an unlimited. Are you surprised by this confidence, Chad? Have you never met Don before?
Not at all.
You earn an unlimited 2 miles per dollar spent on everything. And through January 2020, this is, by the way, November 2019, so this is not going to last for much longer. Something's going to change, I would assume. A whopping 10 miles per dollar at hotels.com and venture.com. You can redeem miles for statement...
Keep going. You hit me with a little curve there. That verbiage threw me up.
Oh, /venture, by the way. It doesn't say .com. I shouldn't be going off script.
Keep going.
A whopping 10 miles per dollar at hotels.com/venture. I should not be going off script. You can redeem miles for statement credit against most travel expenses. I don't even know what that means. Can you explain that sentence? You can redeem miles for statement credit
So-
against most travel expenses.
So
do you know what
let's
that
say you,
means,
like,
Chad?
No idea.
Okay, because I don't either.
You like buy a flight, you can cover that flight with the points that you earn.
Oh, okay.
So you can cover like a payment,
Okay.
but it's
You're
only for
not-
travel.
You're not restricted to one airline or hotel, as is the case with co-branded cards. And unlike with many cards, I don't like that. There's no minimum amount required to redeem, so you can even use rewards to pay for a $5 cab ride. Oh, that's kind of cool. Just book your own travel, then pay for it with rewards. The sign-up bonus is awesome too. Enjoy a one-time bonus of 50,000 miles once you spend $3,000 on purchases within 3 months from account opening, equal to $500 in travel. Now, if you think you know it, I'll let you guess, but I can also give you some cons if you're struggling still.
I would say Capital One.
God,
Nice.
Capital One Venture Rewards credit card.
I mean, you gave it away when you literally said venture, but then they're the only and then they're the only
didn't even
company
know-
that
see?
only talks about miles, right? So like I'm just going on like I watch commercials, and so from this, if you listen to the way you deliver, like I heard I just heard the Capital One lady, Jenna I don't know what her name is.
Jenna Fisher from The Office?
No, I don't know what her name
I know
is.
Capital One, Samuel L. Jackson. Get this
Yeah.
credit card, motherfucker! Okay,
That needs to be a drop right there.
I think the FCC would have a problem with that. Do you want to keep going? I love this. You're doing very good so far, 2 for 2.
Give him a couple
Thank
more.
you.
I'm intrigued. Give him a couple more.
And I'm learning stuff here too.
Me too.
The blah 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 travel rewards credit card. I'm not going to tell you the company that the credit card company or the the bank establishment that is putting this giving
keep
you
going.
this earns this card. I'll just say that this card earns 1.5 points per $1 spent on anything, and each point is worth 1 cent. That's a relatively high rewards rate considering that the annual fee is $0. Plus, if you're a customer to a different venture, different money management customer to one of their partners, you can earn a bonus of up to 75% off of the points you earn, depending on how much you have in your account. Points can be redeemed for a credit against travel purchases, giving you the freedom to book during any season with any carrier or hotel chain. Further, you can use points for credit against travel purchases for up to 12 months after those purchases post to your account. A much longer window than most other cards offer. That's even a decent sign-up bonus.
It's I already know what it's not. Like I know what it's not going to be.
What is it not?
It's not going to be Amex. I'm flirting with it being Discover, but the verbiage doesn't ring the Discover ad type of bell. But it could have Amex 'cause it sounds very like corporate. Oh man, I honestly don't know. This one's throwing me off. I don't think I've seen it.
I'm going to give you a hint. It's neither of those.
Perfect. I mean, is it like?
But I like where your head was at
I
when
feel
you
like
were-
it's. I think
with
it's
your
like
thinking.
It might be like a Bank of America or a Mastercard.
You son of a bitch. Bank of America.
Nice.
Okay, I don't like the fact that I've actually got this just because I'm just analyzing their commercials in my head.
But the
Hey,
commercials
whatever makes
work.
you figure it out, man. That's a good
I don't
strategy.
watch TV. Like if I watch anything, it's going to be either online through like a specific like a sport provider because I watch Formula 1 through ESPN or Netflix. So this is interesting to me. We'll do do one more. I have one more for you, Don, but I'm trying to pick a good one. Okay, maybe 2 more, but I'm going to see how you perform on this one first. Owners want maximum value. So when I say owners, and I'm skipping out on a very specific word, but owners want maximum value for every penny. And this card can help them get it. new cardholders can earn a jumbo sign-up bonus. That just sounds like a marketing term, like set up to get suckers. But I'm sure it works. But it's a jumbo sign-up bonus. Earn 80,000 bonus points after you spend $5,000 on purchases in the first 3 months from account opening. That's $1,000 towards travel when you redeem through this bank's special little card. You earn 3 points per dollar spent on travel, telecommunications, shipping, and advertising on social media and search engines on up to $150,000 in combined spending each year. All other spending earns 1 point per dollar. Points are worth $1.25 apiece when used to book travel through this company's little special card. They can also be transferred on a one-to-one basis to travel partners, such as, you know what, I'll tell you the partners. Should I tell you the partners? Travel partners?
Yes.
United, Southwest, Marriott, Hyatt.
Ooh, that throws a curve. I might need to hear the cons for this one.
Interesting. Okay. As with most credit cards with generous rewards, this card has an annual fee of $95. There's a limit to how much spending earns 3 points per dollar. It's a fairly high limit, but it's still a limit. And you need very good credit, but you need very good credit for all of these. It's kind of the same range for the most part, like a 690 up, at least.
All right, so it sounds like the Capital One Spark card because it's talking about work, but I know that's not it because we already had Capital One. You wouldn't repeat there. It might be.
I'll say this: you're wrong, but don't think I'm above repeating. Not saying I did. I'm just saying, don't think I am above that.
I mean, Capital One then.
No.
That's
not it.
I don't know.
That is the you're, but you know what? You can't get it, and that's unfortunate. Oh, my soundboard is. Oh, sorry. Long story. Anyway, you were wrong, but I like where your head was at because it is a business card. That's what I was looking for. It is a business card, but it is the Inc. Business Preferred by which bank? Do you know who has the Inc. Business Preferred card?
Oh, I should know this. It's not. I don't know, Chase.
Very good. Very good. Chase has the Inc. Business Preferred card.
Oh, I keep forgetting that.
That's all, chat. Don, very good. I am very impressed at your ability to guess those.
I try.
So,
give the people what they want.
Since Don, I heard just through from a little birdie that you host a podcast called The Millennial State of Mind. Mm-hmm. So I found a fun little fact that I thought you might find interesting about millennials.
Mm-hmm.
TransUnion said millennials born between 1980 and 1994 carry fewer cards and have lower card balances than Gen Xers born 1965 to 1979. Did whatever the latter group... excuse me. So let me just... Millennials had less fewer credit cards and lower balances than Gen Xers did at millennials' age. So when Gen Xers were 21 to 34. Millennials also lag Gen Xers in private label credit card and bank card participation by 23% and 22% respectively.
Mm-hmm.
This is not shocking to you?
No.
I mean,
our generation is better with our debt. It's been there's been more emphasis put on our credit cards, our usage, because we had the examples of the first group who really went wild with them, right? Mm-hmm. Credit cards weren't a thing before they were born.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, they really became like big in what, the 50s, 40s?
No, way later, right?
Way later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know they used to have those little not those mechanical machines where you would do the carbon copy of the credit cards.
Yeah.
I thought that was old.
The fact
real
that
old
that
school.
is still sometimes used places. Like I've had that
No
done the
way.
last year.
No.
I swear to
no.
God.
I have not seen that since I was like 6.
I have seen that way more recently, and it's
I feel like
because
people in San Francisco would do that because they think it's like trendy. You know, it's like vintage. This is a vintage credit card scanner. We've lost a lot of money in the past couple of years improperly inputting credit card numbers, but it looks really cool, and people ask us about it. Sorry, go ahead. Where'd you see it?
I forget. I feel like I was up in Lover's
Tahoe.
Leap.
What's Lover's Leap?
It's up past Tahoe in Colorado. Some rock climbing.
Oh, interesting.
And I
All
feel
right.
like it was there, but that was earlier this year.
All right.
But that
do you
just
wanna...
shows how recent it was.
Yeah. Chad, you seem like you enjoyed this very much, just looking at your face, and you seem like you were very into it. I might have found the first episode that Chad might actually go listen back to.
Yeah, probably. Although I've listened back to other ones, but yeah.
Do you have any more questions first?
Do I for Don?
Yeah.
I do, but for the sake of time, I think we could honestly do one of these again at another point because I think there's a lot of other stuff we could cover. And Don's always a great guest, so I think we should make that happen. So I don't have any questions for the time being. I definitely do for the future, Don, so be ready for those at some point.
I cannot wait.
But I think we should talk about the song of the pod today, Jared. What do you think?
Yeah. Don, did you get a chance to listen to the song of the pod?
I did not, to be honest.
That's okay.
Check
it out,
in
though.
meetings all day.
I don't have any... Oh, I do have the information in front of me. No, I don't. Can you tell us about it, Chad?
Yes. So the song is called Memories by the band, I don't know if you say Paul or P-A-U-W. I'm not sure. But this is a band from the Netherlands. And it's a really interesting song because it has a lot of different stuff going on. It has kind of has an interesting, like, I would say like psychedelic-ish vibe,
Yeah.
or like 60s or 70s-ish vibe to it.
Sure.
Pretty upbeat, pretty positive. I feel like this is a great song for like a summer jam kind of thing, you know. But yeah, what would you say about it, Jared?
I agree with you. Like, it does have that sort of like a, it has like a indie rock band vibe.
It does.
I would definitely say. I like the song a lot, by the way. This was a great choice. I was surprised, not because I was expecting some garbage from you, but just because I had no idea. Like when you sent it to me, I was also shocked that you. Maybe I shouldn't say how you sent it to me, but I was shocked to see how you sent it to me.
I have my ways sometimes, Jared. Sometimes it works, other times
Slipping on gator piss. So I was shocked to see how you said, but like I was just thrown off at how much I enjoyed it, just because I didn't know what to expect, because you just sent it to me out of the blue, and I was like, this is great, and I would highly recommend it. Don, listen to the song of the pod. I sent you the YouTube video for it, I know you didn't listen to it. You were a busy person.
Yeah.
But for your own personal enjoyment,
I think you definitely could get into this song.
You forget it. You know what? I'm actually going to redact and retract what I sent you through text. Go to the Untranslatable Podcast YouTube channel and go to our Song of the Pod playlist and find it there and check it out.
Yeah. Check it out. It's a great song, Memories, by either Paul or P-A-U-W. I'm not sure. But now it's time to promote our language learning a little bit. And I have a Chinese word of the pod today. And my Chinese word for the pod today is, 1 second, let me give it one more listen. There we go. And my Chinese word of the pod today is qian. And qian means money.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Mm-hmm. My Spanish word of the pod is aruinado. Excuse me. Aruinado. There we go. Arruinado. That's how you should say it. There you go. Yes. Yes. You betcha. What do you think that means?
I got one.
Okay, mine means broke, by the way, to have no money. That's like ruined, essentially, I would guess.
Okay. Say it one more time.
Arruinado.
It might be a false cognate or false friend, but my guess is that it's because, ruined, no money kind of thing.
That makes sense.
Do you have something for us, Don?
What's the criteria again?
Just a word.
Any word in
another language.
Oh, Lolo.
What language is this?
Filipino.
Okay. Lolo. What does that mean?
It means grandfather. And then Lola
cool.
means grandmother.
Grandma. Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Thank you,
That's
Don.
awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, it was actually brought up I was at a wedding this past weekend. And it was the Filipino bride. And so you're going to get a lot of new aunties is the way to refer to usually your mom's sisters.
Right.
But
Nice.
it was a fast name. Oh yeah, we talked about that on the pod. If you want to hear a great wedding story, Millennial State of Mind. But back
Check
to
it
the
out.
regular
That's
You
topic.
for
betcha.
You won't be disappointed. So I have a couple jokes to end our episode today.
Ooh.
So my first one for you two gentlemen is, why is money called dough?
Because you want to roll in it.
Because I
like
spend
that
most
one,
of it on bread.
That's also a good one. But no, because you need it.
Oh. That's clever, actually.
Kneading
I like
dough.
that.
K-N-E-A-D, need. Right. Why did the hippie put his money in the refrigerator?
I don't know.
I have no
Because he
clue.
wanted some cold, hard cash. I got Jared's not impressed.
I don't
Jared's
get
not
it.
impressed. The phrase cold, hard cash?
What does that have to do with hippies, though?
I don't know why it's a hippie. That is just what the joke said.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, it could have been anybody. Maybe it would be
I think
better
that
if
threw me off. I was looking for a
Right.
connection to the hippie.
No.
It's hilarious.
all right,
Now
my
that's
last
actually
one-
funny to me that
Right.
they specifically chose hippie when that had nothing to do with the.
It really doesn't. You're right. It would be better if it's like, why did the snowman put his money in the refrigerator? 'Cause
There
he
you
wanted
go.
Cold, hard cash. That would be better. There we go.
Now
All right.
now that deserves a rib shot.
My last one for you guys is, what do you call a country that doesn't use credit cards?
Responsible.
Don, any ideas? What do you call a country that doesn't use credit cards?
I don't know. I don't
Greenland.
What's the name of the country where the three of us were all reunited at?
Czech Republic.
Republic?
A Czech Republic.
Oh.
Don has the perfect response. This is the same response I have to, I'd say, 99.999% of.
Yeah. That's for sure. That's for sure. Well,
I mean, it's just because
usually
I don't think go ahead.
Right. You're good.
No, they're not. They're not good jokes, Don.
They
It's
really
okay.
aren't.
Yeah,
No,
I
they really
know.
aren't.
No, I know they're not. It's just like I love the simplicity of it. Like that's what I appreciate.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like I'm just like, all right, that's like, all right.
Yeah.
It's my gut reaction to it. I'm like, okay.
I mean, most of those jokes like that, the problem is I think that people overthink them. Or it's like you have to think way more literally than you'd think for the most part.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, for sure.
Or just
I
don't
usually
think about them.
I usually give a recap of today's episode, but honestly, I think Don can probably do a better job today because he gave a lot of gems. Like, is there anything that you would recap about our main segment, Don, that you want our listeners to really take from what you were discussing?
I would say when you're ever traveling and you're about to travel and have a lot of, expenses come up for a trip that could be one time, look for a credit card that has any zero interest, zero APR for a certain amount of time so you can bleed that spend out. So you can really go out there and not have to like micromanage your budget, knowing if like you're like 50, 60, $100 over, that's fine. And then also find one that matches like your travel patterns, where you go in and out of, what you frequently use, because that in the long run will just be a great benefit. And just always just look things up. You can find any deals for any airline anytime you're traveling that have different incentives to get money back. And you can use that for what you even spend on the trip. So look for those sort of things.
Would you also recommend, I didn't ask you this before, maybe knowing what you prioritize in your travel? So maybe you
Yes.
prioritize a good, like, priority plus or business class. Maybe you
Yeah.
prioritize a nice hotel or, getting, you're going to spend a lot of money on restaurants. So
Yeah.
find a car that's good with that. Like, know what you like out of your travel.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Figure out the perks that you like and what you really care about, because that can be what you can kind of treat yourself on, depending on how you see the rewards. And that's really
Right.
important, because if you travel a fair amount, if you catch more than like 5 or 6 flights a year, that's a fair amount. And having a smooth travel and a smooth experience is key.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's great
Brilliant.
advice, Don. That's great advice. We really appreciate you being on. And I definitely feel like I'm a little bit financially smarter now after having you on. So I really appreciate it. I'm sure our listeners appreciate it as well. And this has been a great episode. I'm excited to do a little bit more research on credit cards, and maybe when I'm back stateside, also get a couple different travel credit cards. So let us know what travel credit cards you all like to use at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Check out our Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast, for pics and clips of the podcast. Also, check out our YouTube channel if you want to listen to the Song of the Pod, Untranslatable Podcast, and the Song of the Pod playlist. You won't be disappointed. There's tons of great tunes on there, so check that out if you like songs in a different language. If you want songs to put you in a good mood, take a look. You will not be disappointed. And lastly, please 5-star reviews on iTunes.